All right, it's 5:10. We're still listening to the Angry Chicken, Rise of Shadows hype, and we're gonna keep working on these objective tokens. And I'm not gonna say dry brushing, but we're gonna do a lot of dry brushing.
Welcome to my hobby desk, and this time I was right. As we start working, or we start finishing these objectives, we're going to do a lot of dry brushing. In fact, I think we're probably going to do mostly everything dry brushing. And I'm really excited about these ice tokens that we're doing, and you're really going to see how dry brushing just kind of brings out the contrast. The wash is done, you can see the darker bits, and now we're going to dry brush over those, and it's really going to start popping. So we're going to actually start with Hideous Blue. It's an old Citadel paint, and we're going to start doing the Space Marine bits. Okay, so as always, we're going to get some paint on a brush, and we are going to wipe it out on an absorbent surface and drive the pigment up in the bristles and get the medium out. And normally, we're going to focus mostly on the raised areas, but we're going to just do a good, generous dry brush all over these Space Marine Brits, just to kind of bring them out and help distinguish them from the other blues that are going to be on here. Okay, so now we're going to take Glacier Blue, the Vallejo paint that we've been using for other stuff, and we're going to go ahead and do this over all of the blue texture now and start building up what's going to be the underlayer for the ice. And we are going to do an ice effect over the top of these, but it's going to be translucent, and so we want to get a good kind of blue underneath to help sell the ice. And when you're doing such a textured surface, the impact of the dry brush really pops out. You can start seeing that blue take hold, and the contrast that you get between the darkest shadows with the wash and the highlights with the blue really start jumping out. Now, by using the Glacier Blue here that we also used in dry brushing the concrete, and that we're going to use later on when we're dry brushing the actual terrain, and kind of having this unifying color ties in all the pieces in a really subtle way, but visually it'll just kind of look like they fit together a little bit better, even though it would be hard necessarily to put your finger on. Oh yeah, you know, the dry brush color is all the same, but just having it there, it'll gel together in a way that's very aesthetically pleasing. So I want to push the contrast a little bit more on these guys, so I'm going to go ahead and do another coat of dry brushing of the Glacier Blue just to bring it up a little bit more. And we're going to do now a very light layer of a dry brush of just white. We're going to use the Vallejo model color white, and we just want to not overpower it, but we just want to lay down some tones that are very bright and get another kind of layer of contrast and another layer of highlight. Okay, that looks good. There's still a few more detail bits that we need to do here, but we're getting pretty close to being able to do the ice effect. I'm actually going to run off camera and clean out this dry brush because it's my favorite and I want to use it again in a minute. So I'm actually going to clean it out with a little alcohol. It's a synthetic brush, so I can do that and won't ruin the bristles. And it actually the alcohol evaporates faster than the water, so I'll be able to use it again pretty soon. And we're back. We're going to clean that up. And now we're going to go ahead and take our Deathwatch objection objective. And the gold parts that we finished off yesterday, we're going to go ahead and hit that with a wash of Flesh Wash, Vallejo Flesh Wash. And then after that dries, we'll go ahead and we'll dry brush the gold details. All right, now our Death Guard objective. We're going to first spruce this up with some Ryza Rust. This is a Citadel dry paint, and as you see, I'm going to pop it open and show you in just a second. This has a much higher pigment count and a lower medium count, so it just looks very goopy, but this is extra easy, or is designed for dry brushing. And this particular, it looks like it is a very bright orange, but when we wipe it off and then when we brush it on the metallic bits, it's going to be a much darker, and it's a good rust effect. That's why it's Ryza Rust. We're only going to put these on the chains and the hand, because bronze, when it corrodes, it actually doesn't rust. We'll talk about that in a second. I really like how this looks. I thought it came out great. Now let's talk about bronze corrosion. So bronze actually corrodes this bluish, almost luminescent blue color. And Citadel actually has a technical paint for this. I believe it's called nickel oxide. I don't have it, but the color of it did remind me of a Vallejo paint I do have, and that is Vallejo. It's either electric blue or enchanted blue. I'm losing it off the top of my head right now, but I'll go ahead and pop it up here on the screen in a second. There we go. And this seems pretty close, so I'm going to put a little bit on my palette, and I'm going to dry brush just a little bit on one of the bells and see how I like it. And if I like how it comes out, I'm going to do it over the rest of the model. So I did a little bit on the bell, and I do like how it came out. I think that's pretty close. It doesn't have that bright pop, but I think it's good with what I have. So I'm going to go ahead and do this over the rest of the bells and over the top of the icon, and that is going to be our bronze corrosion. All right, we're going to grab a different brush, and now we're going to dry brush this burnished gold. We're going to hit both the gold bits on the Deathwatch objective, and we're going to hit the bronze bits on the Tau objective, and just try to build up some of the edge just to draw a little bit of contrast to that. And now we're just going to gently hit the bits on the Deathwatch objective, the coils, little bits on the corner, and we'll do the little depression with the skull and that kind of stuff. All right, now that we've dry brushed the Space Marine bits, we're going to go ahead and do the metallics on the chest piece. So we'll do gold for the Aquila thing on the chest, and then we'll do plate mail metal for the little cable thingies that run underneath that, and also the little bit on the belt. And I guess I'm setting up to do some of this on the Deathwatch objective too. I don't remember. We'll see what happened. Oh, I see now. I did forget some of the bits that I wanted to be gold on the hammer. So we're going to do these. All right, and now the Aquila, I believe is the proper term, for this thing here on the chest. And we're also going to come back later and hit this with a Flesh Wash. Okay, we're going to let that dry, and we'll probably do a second layer of the gold in a minute. So let's go ahead and get out this Necron objective. Now that the ice part underneath is done, we can start looking at how we're going to do these tubes. So I'm going to pop out a couple and stick them under and see what it looks like. So at first I was kind of thinking maybe 3 tubes underneath, but as I'm putting these down, it looks like 2 is going to be a good fit underneath the hose. And I kind of like the way that looks. Now, I thought about gluing them, but then I want to paint the hose, and I don't want to paint the tubes by accident. So we're going to go ahead and paint the hose first, and then we'll come back and we'll put the tubes underneath. And while we're doing that, we'll do some of the other green bits, like the coils inside the gun and also the little eyepiece on the scarabs. We're going to use Scorpion Green. This is another old Citadel color. It's a dark green, but it leans on towards the yellow. And I have another color that's almost a brighter version of this that'll work as a good highlight. And this is what I used on my son's Necrons when I painted them up, so it'll kind of match. So we're going to go ahead and start painting the tube. It'll take a couple layers because it's going over black. And then we'll also do the coils inside the gun. And we'll start hitting the little eye dots on the scarabs with this also. Okay, we're going to let that dry. We'll come back and do a second coat later. And now we're going to take our Adeptus Astartes objective, and we're just going to hit the gold bit with some flesh wash that's already on my palette. And we'll come back and we'll probably hit this with a quick highlight, probably tomorrow, because I don't think I'm going to have time this morning. Okay, so all those coats of bronze, I learned my lesson. And I'm going to do an undercoat to help me paint these faces, because trying to go flesh tone right over black would be bad. So we're going to use Mournfang Brown. It is a dark but warm brown from Citadel, and this will go well over the black, but it'll create a warmer brownish base coat for my flesh tone. Now these faces are off the Death Watch sprue, and so they actually go with different chapters. For 3 of them, it shouldn't matter. This guy down here though, he's a salamander. His face should be dark, almost black. And the guy above him, Raven Guard, he's an albino. So I'm going to do him and the other 3 with this Mournfang Brown. The salamander face I'm actually going to do with Mechanicus Standard Gray. Now, you might be thinking, well, it's already black. Why would you go up to a gray? I want to hit it with a wash to help bring out some of the detail, and then I want to be able to highlight on top of that, because I'm not sure how much of it's going to show when I put on the ice effect. So I'm going to bring it up to a gray, I'm going to wash it back down, and then highlight it back up. And I think that'll be the best way to do it. And then the other guys, I'm just going to use a regular flesh tone and hit it with a flesh wash. And the albino guy, I'm going to do probably like a bone white and then hit that with a flesh tone. And we'll see where we go from there. And there's the Mechanicus Standard Gray. And I don't know if this is the best way to do this. I'm still fairly new at this, and I'm very inexperienced with faces. If you know of a better way to do salamander faces, throw it in the comments below. But we're going to give this a shot, and we're going to see where it goes. Okay, I'm pretty excited about where that objective is going to go. I think the face is going to look great. All right, we're going to go ahead and do a second coat of the green on all of the Necron bits. All right, and that is all the time I had this morning. So if you hobby today and you took a video of it, please link it in the comments below. I would love to check it out. And I will see you guys tomorrow where we keep working on these Kill Team objective tokens. Have a good one.